be good, right? Right?
Hi everyone, it's episode 6, The Art of Being Single. Y'all, I'm excited to talk about this episode because I feel like there's so many people that look at being single as a negative thing. And I too was one of those people who saw it as a negative thing, but I'm finally at a place in my life where I'm content with being single and I understand the art of it. It's crazy because I've been putting this episode off for a minute because I knew that there was a level of vulnerability that I would have to get to talk about this, and I was not ready to do that. But then I was scrolling on TikTok and I saw this girl and she was like, I'm 23 and I've never been in a relationship, and she was so discouraged. And then I went to the comments and they were like, I'm 20, I'm 17, I'm 36 and never been in a relationship. The comments were just so upsetting and I felt for them because I was at a point one time in my life where I felt exactly like the things they were saying. And I was just like, you know what, let me just go ahead and do the episode. This channel is here to help anyone in any way possible, so let me just do it. You know, I feel for them and I just hope that I can make this episode and at least one person can, feel better about being single. And then I was putting it off, y'all. Last month, y'all, I was going through it.
Take me through that.
Through it, okay? And not even in the sense of being single. I think I've been content with being single for a minute now, but more so in the sense of navigating emotions and feelings for past relationships that I had and trying to understand them. I was just very clouded and confused last month, and I just wanted to make sure I did this episode when I was clear-minded. And here we are. But before we get into the art of being single, I gotta take you through the backstory of how I was raised. I feel like if you understand the backstory of someone, then you understand why they do certain things, and you understand who they are a little bit. So I grew up in a kind of traditional sheltered black home. Both my parents were in the home, but they were very sheltered and protective, I guess, in a sense. And relationships is something we never really talked about, at all. We never really talked about having boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff like that. It just wasn't a conversation that we had. And also, in elementary school, my friends had all these little boyfriends and stuff, and I just it wasn't prevalent on my mind. I wasn't thinking about it. It wasn't something that I was like, ooh, I want a boy. It just wasn't even a thought in my mind, And then you move into middle school and high school, and I'm seeing my friends in relationships still, but the relationships, they sad all the time, they're getting broken up with, they're getting cheated on, they're crying. And if you know me or you watched my KB episode, you know that I hated crying. So I didn't want anything to deal with a relationship if it was gonna make me like how they were. You know what I'm saying? I steered away from it. But also it was because I knew what the end goal was for me. Even though my parents never talked about relationships and stuff, I always knew the end goal was marriage. In my eyes, that's how I always saw it. And I always seen successful relationships in my life, my parents being the prime example. And they weren't the only ones. I had aunties, I had uncles, I had cousins, I had grandparents. I've seen a lot of successful marriages around me, and that was the goal. That was the example. So when it came to just, talking to someone just because, or being in a relationship just because I'm attracted to, that wasn't even my body for real. I wasn't into it. And I always knew for a fact, I modeled my life after my parents. I knew for a fact I was going to find my husband in college, just like, my parents found each other in college. At my HBCU, I was they found each other at an HBCU, and I just knew I was going to get to Hampton and find my husband. I knew it in my mind. And I'm I'm meeting different people and talking to different people and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I don't see a potential of a husband here. I just don't. And don't get me wrong, Hampton has a lot of great men, a lot of attractive men, respectable men with great personalities. But me personally, I just didn't like any of them in that way. I just didn't. I tried, y'all. I tried. I just could not. You know what I mean? And so it's I'm trying to go through college, and in the back of my mind, my husband here somewhere. But it's the reality of it is, I'm not finding finding anyone I like. And I think I just became like very frustrated about it because this is something I wanted for so long, and it's like I've been holding out because I just knew my husband was here. So it's like I'm starting to think like, what did I wait for? Or why isn't the man that I want, like, why isn't he here? Why isn't he finding me? Like, why, And there's so many negative thoughts came into my mind. I started comparing myself to, people around me. How are they in a relationship? Or how do they have this and that? And, and then also like comparing myself to the cultural ideals, like, oh, a woman should look like this, or she should do this, or she should be like this. I started comparing myself so much to the point where my actions started to change. The things I started to do, like, oh, men like that, oh, let me do that. Oh, men like a woman who dresses a little bit more promiscuous, let me do that. Like, just these little things, and I let what I was seeing work for other people dictate what I did. So if I was like, oh, she got a man, let me do this, you know what I'm saying? And it's really not the best way to go about things, because I told y'all, my dad gave me advice my freshman year of college, and he was like, don't become desperate for a man, because once you do that, a lot of bad things come from it. And I hate to say it, I really hate to even think that I was like this, but I really would say, like, I think I became desperate for male attention, and it made me do certain things that I wouldn't have done, like, if I wasn't so needy, I guess. And don't get me wrong, I wasn't out here like being a hoe or anything like that. It's just little minuscule things that I would do that was because I wanted attention from a man. And I was never like that in my life. Like, growing up, I did not care what a man thought. I had no care. Like, growing up, I knew who I was, and I was confident in who I was, but I think just somewhere in college, because I had high expectations to meet my husband in college, and because it just wasn't looking right for me, and because, I don't know, I just developed low self-esteem in this area. And I never, ever thought I was like unattractive or anything like that. But like in college, I remember starting to think like, dang, maybe men don't find me attractive. Like, I don't necessarily think I'm unattractive, but maybe just men just see me and don't think I'm attractive. Or like typical cultural standards, a woman gotta be thick for, men to be paying her attention. And obviously, I'm not there yet, okay? So it's like, dang, like, maybe it's my body that I don't like, just all these negative thoughts. And oh my God, I hate that I'm over here sitting here talking about it, because it's just so weird. But it's like all these negative thoughts I had about myself, whether it's my appearance, personality. And because I had these thoughts, they really, in a sense, controlled, especially like my later years in college, like junior and senior year. I think these thoughts like really just controlled my actions a little bit. And I find myself in situations that I would have never been in, like aimlessly flirting, like just flirting with people just because I want them to want their attention, or texting multiple men just to boost my ego. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally remember at one point, it was my senior year. It was right before, it was December, and I remember I was just texting a couple different guys, like, at the same time. And I remember I wake up and I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? Like, none of these conversations have substance. None of these men I like. None of these men I'm attracted to. So it's like, why am I doing this? Like, what is the purpose of them? So I cut all of them off. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna do this no more. This ain't even me for real. So I let it go. And at the time, obviously, I didn't realize it was because I just needed attention. Like, I was seeking attention, and, that was something I craved. I didn't realize that. I didn't realize I was trying to fill a void. I just knew that, oh, they in my phone. It's not even me, though. That's not me. So fast forward, this last semester of senior, and I just remember so it being on my mind so heavily. Like, I just wanted to be in a relationship so bad. When I'm talking about like on a daily, like I'm thinking like, why am I not in a relationship? I was just so angry and so mad about it, and I started to look at myself like, why? Like, what is wrong with me? Like, literally, I couldn't fathom why. Like, I haven't met anyone that, like, I can be in a relationship with. And at the time, y'all, I thought I was perfect. I'm telling you, all of college, I thought I was perfect. I thought anyone would be lucky to be with me. I'm telling you, like, I seriously thought I was perfect. So, in my mind, I just literally couldn't fathom why I was in a relationship. I couldn't fathom why I felt like no man wanted me, or in a sense, why I wasn't, I guess, deserving of love, or just why it was taking so long. Just so many negative thoughts. And I was messing it with this guy that same year. And I remember at one point we were arguing. He called me emotional. Y'all, I was so pissed. I was so annoyed that he called me emotional. And obviously in hindsight, like, I realized he called me emotional because I was so needy and so dependent on him to tell me I'm pretty, or to tell me he missed me, or to tell me all these things. And I was finding my worth in what he said I was, you know? And if he wasn't saying anything, or if we weren't talking, or if we were arguing, it would make me so mad, because it's like, now my worth, what is my worth, you know? Because I didn't know it for myself. Like, I always had high standards and high values, and I thought I knew my self-worth and stuff, but this is a time where I just really didn't. And so once he told me, like, I was emotional, obviously in the moment I was mad, but like, once I finally realized that, dang, he was right. Even though I don't think he said it in the right way at the right time, I still realized he was right. And I had to just take steps back, because I'm like I said, I thought I was perfect. And just realizing how dependent I was on him, I was like, there's no way. Like, this is so embarrassing. Like, there's no way I acted like this, or there's no way I did this, you know? And I had to take steps back, because it's like, I never ever wanted to be dependent on a man in that way. And don't get me wrong, like, I think it's great to be able to depend on a man, but to depend on a man to tell you what your self-worth is, maybe you should know that. Like, I should have known that. And it's just something I thought I knew, but I didn't. And I was trying to find it essentially in him. And if you heard the trailer, like, everything that I said in the trailer, that was me. I wasn't saying that because, you know, I'm looking out from the outside in. No, I was looking at myself and said all that stuff because of myself, and because of the thoughts and ideas I had in college. So yeah, in college, it was just, I think it's crazy. College was a large version of me, but yet it's still the furthest version from me, if that makes sense. You know, in college, like, I thought who I am now is who I thought I was in college. That's not the case. In college me could never touch me now. You know what I'm saying? In terms of just mentality, confidence, skill, just everything. College me could never touch me. And I'm glad to be seeing the growth in that way too. Like, just like every other way, I'm glad to be seeing growth in that way. Which brings us to the art of being single. What is the art of being single? And to me, I've learned that the art of being single is like really just finding yourself. Like, understanding who you really want to be and becoming that person before you get into a relationship. Like, I've always imagined what I'd be like by the time I meet my husband, and who I was in college was not that person. And even who I am now, like, I'm definitely closer to that person now, but still growing and developing in certain ways, like just mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, just every way, just developing in those ways, continue to develop in those ways, and, you know, become the person that I would want if I was a male, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, becoming the woman I would want if I was a man. Yeah. Yeah. And the art is really just growing and really finding confidence in yourself. Like, if you find yourself always thinking, I want to be in a relationship. I want to be in a relationship. I want to, why can't I? If you find yourself always thinking about that, it's probably a void that you're trying to fill, and you got to figure out what that void is. Maybe the void is caused from daddy issues. Maybe the void is caused from rejection. You know, whatever the void may be, you have to figure that out, deal with that, heal, grow, and begin to really like learn yourself and love yourself, like love being alone with yourself, love your own company, love going out and doing things with yourself. Like you just have to develop as that person. And if you feel like, I told you, I'm 24 and have never been in a relationship. And if you feel like you've waited so long, or you've been waiting so long and it's not worth it, let me tell you, it is. I promise you it is, because a lot of ways in college, I just lowered my standards just because I was so desperate for attention. I lowered a lot of my standards, and I talked to and entertained and messed with a lot of men that I would not have normally like just even given the time of the day if I was like, you know, right in my mind, I guess. You know, not that they were bad people, but just I wasn't interested in them in that way, and it was just really pointless, kind of. I'm telling you, do not settle for less. Do not lower your standards, because I did that multiple times, and it's never gonna fulfill what you wanted. Like if you've always had high standards, then stick with those standards, because as soon as you lower those standards, you're gonna find yourself stressed, because that's not what you wanted. You get what I'm saying? Like, put it this way. Me and my sister, it's my senior year of college and my sister's senior year of high school, and neither of us have a car, and we're both like trying to persuade my pops to get us a car, right? And my sister, she ends up getting a car, and you know me, I am pissed, y'all. I'm livid. How did she get a car before me? I'm in college, she's in high school. Like I was so mad that she got a car before me, and I wasn't trying to hear nothing. I don't care what your reason is. There's no reason you can justify her getting a car before me. I was mad, you know? And she got this car before me, but a year later, I ended up getting a car. Now, the car she got was used and was having a lot of problems, but the car I got a year later was brand new, and it was everything that I wanted. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and she no longer has that same car anymore. And you see what I'm saying? It's like, you can either wait and get exactly what you want, or you could settle for less and get a used car, a car that doesn't work, doesn't treat you well, that breaks down on you. You get what I'm saying? I'm not talking about cars. But do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I hope that makes sense, and I hope like someone hears that and just runs with it, because I will never ever in my life settle for anything less than what the standard is. I'm not doing the bare minimum ever again in my life. Like, I wish I would. You know what I mean? And like, just looking back at the past, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I get secondhand embarrassment looking back in the past at myself, and like just the things I would do for attention, or how I would go back. Like, it made my stomach hurt just thinking about it. Okay? So the art of being single is that you just get to grow and be fully you, just the most beautiful version of yourself. Like, and this was for my girlies, really, my single girlies that have been single their whole life. It's for everyone, but really for y'all. I love y'all, and I have a heart for y'all so much. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just excited. Like, I'm excited in this seat. I'm so like, I can't even, like, I'm just so excited, like, to be, like, and the stress that comes with being in a relationship or dealing with another person, it's only worth it if it's the right person and the right time. Because if it's not, it's gonna stress you out, okay? I know, because it stressed me out, frustrated me. But yeah, I think that's it. Time for the question of the week.
The question of the week was, what is your favorite sport to watch? Well, me personally, I'm a sports girly, and it's college football season, and I'm a fan of the Ohio State Buckeyes, so I gotta go college football. That's it for this week. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.